Hello everybody, my name is Bexy for those of you that don't know me, and I run a school called Cherry Blossom Arts, and I'm offering some live free content for you during lockdown. So please spread the word, come and join us, tell me what you'd like to see. I love all things theatre and drama. But for today, I wanted to bring Shakespeare to your lives, and particularly to the lives of kids, because when I was a kid, I didn't learn about Shakespeare, and then when I was a teenager and a young adult, it was thrust into me when I was at drama school, and I was so scared of it, and it was such a shame because Shakespeare and his stories were so fantastic that if I'd had an introduction to Shakespeare a little bit more like this as a child, I don't think I would have been quite so afraid of his works. So I have purchased the fabulous Shakespeare Stories, which has been put together by Andrew Matthews and Tony Ross. And actually, these books were recommended to me by one of my students at Cherry Blossom Arts. So Lizzie, thank you so much. You know it was you. And this box set here has 16 of Shakespeare's stories. And I am going to read these stories to you over the coming weeks. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday at 5 o'clock. I'm going to go live on Cherry Blossom Arts page like I am today, and I'm going to read you one of these fabulous Shakespeare stories for children. Now, the author and the company who's created them actually say that they're 7+, but I do have children in my group who are 6, and they are part of a production that we're putting on, Midsummer Nights Dream. And I also have my cherry tots, who are 2 to 5 year olds, who I have started to introduce Shakespeare to as well. So this is very much up to the parents whether you think that these stories are okay for your younger children. But on the box it says 7+, so I thought I'd better let you know that. Now, for those of you that don't know anything about Shakespeare, I thought I would do a little Shakespeare introduction. This is a picture of what Shakespeare looked like, or what might have looked like. His name is William Shakespeare, and there is a lot of question around how his surname is spelt. He is one of the most famous writers ever to have lived. One of the most famous playwrights, over here, ever to have lived. And for those of you kids who don't know what a playwright is a writer who writes plays, which is a story told by actors on a stage. And you all know what actors are, but for those of you that may not know what they are, an actor is a person who plays a character for theatre, film, or TV. Hi Becky, hi Georgina. Thanks for joining Shakespeare for Kids. So Shakespeare was born in April of 1564, which was 456 years ago. So if you think about when your birthday is, and then how long you have to wait until your next birthday, Shakespeare was born 456 of those ago. So that was a long time ago. Even I wasn't around then. And he was born in a place called Stratford-upon-Avon, which is in Warwickshire in England. So our mighty Shakespeare, he's English, as am I. Just a few more fun facts for you, and then we're going to get on to one of our Shakespeare stories. His plays are performed more than any other playwright's plays. And that's pretty amazing, which is another reason why I really wanted to bring Shakespeare to kids, because like I said at the beginning of the video, I learnt about Shakespeare when I was in my late teens, early 20s, and I was so afraid of Shakespeare because of the way it's written, and I wished I was introduced to Shakespeare like this. So, final bits. Surviving works, 39 plays, 154 sonnets, and 2 narrative poems. And if you don't understand some of this, don't worry. Shakespeare's plays have been translated into every major language around the world. That is also pretty amazing. And just one last fun fact for you. When originally performed, both male and female parts were played by men. So us girlies were never allowed to perform in Shakespeare's plays. So there we are. Right, let's get on to reading one of our beautiful Shakespeare stories. Now, I have picked today, for today's Shakespeare story time, A Midsummer Nights Dream. And the reason I've picked this one is because my 6 to 11s at Cherry Blossom Art School, we are going through this story at the moment, and we are writing our own version of this, and we are going to be performing it up in the woods. We're going to make our own costumes, we're writing our own script. It's going to be a fantastic event. And so if anybody wants to join in with us when we're out of lockdown, please let me know and come along and join in our 6 to 11s at Cherry Blossom Arts. So everybody, sit back, relax. I'm just going to give you a little look at our cast list here. Okay, so we have got Titania, who is the Queen of the Fairies. We've got Oberon, who is the King of the Fairies. We've got Puck, who is an elf. We've got Bottom, who is a weaver. And over here, sorry, that way, we've got our main characters. So we've got, and it might be easier if I do it like this. Okay. We have got Hermia. She is in love with Lysander. Okay, and Lysander is in love with Hermia. Okay, and then we've got Helena, who is a friend of Hermia's, who is in love with Demetrius. And Demetrius is betrothed to Hermia. And betrothed means that he is meant to marry her. Okay? So, we are in and around Athens in ancient Greece. So, is everybody ready? I've actually got my blanket, just in case I want to get wrapped up in my little blanket. And for those of you that want to bring your bears, I've also got my teddy bear. So feel free to go and get your blankets and teddy bears. Most of you will watch this on playback, so you can pause the video, you can play it back, go and get your blankets and your teddy bears. Okay, everyone, are we ready? Midsummer Night's Dream. When the path of true love runs smoothly, the world seems a wonderful place, all bright skies and smiling faces. Unfortunately, true love has a habit of wandering off the path and getting lost. And when that happens, people's lives get lost too, in a tangle of misery. Take the tale of Duke Theseus of Athens and Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazon, for instance. They were to be married, and their happiness spread through the whole of Athens. People had decorated their houses with flowers and left lamps burning in their windows at night, so that the streets twinkled like a city of stars. Everybody was joyful and excited as they prepared to celebrate the Duke's wedding day. Well, almost everybody. One day before the royal wedding, two friends met by chance in the market square, golden-haired Hermia and black-haired Helena, both beautiful and both with secrets that made their hearts ache. For a while, the two friends chatted about nothing in particular. Then Helena noticed a look in Hermia's deep blue eyes that made her ask, Is everything all right, Hermia? Hermia looked so sad and serious. I am to marry Demetrius tomorrow, she replied. Demetrius? Said Helena softly. Now her heart was aching worse than ever. Night after night she had cried herself to sleep, whispering Demetrius's name, knowing that her love for him was hopeless. Many years ago, the families of Hermia and Demetrius had agreed that, when they were of age, their daughter and son should marry. You must be the happiest young woman in Athens, sighed Helena. I've never been so miserable in my life, Hermia declared. You see, I don't love Demetrius. You don't? Cried Helena, amazed. I'm in love with Lysander, Hermia confessed, and she began to describe all the things that made Lysander so wonderful. Helena thought about Lysander with his curly brown hair and broad smile. He was quite handsome, she supposed, but he didn't have Demetrius's dark, brooding good looks. Why on earth did Hermia find him so attractive? Of course, I told my father that I didn't wish to marry Demetrius, Hermia said, and he went straight to him to explain. But you know how stubborn Demetrius can be. He lost his temper and said it didn't matter who I loved. Our marriage had been arranged, and it must go ahead no matter what. His stupid pride's been hurt, that's all. He doesn't love me a bit. Then who does he love? Helena inquired eagerly. No one, except for himself, said Hermia. I can't marry somebody I don't love, and I know it will cause a scandal, but Lysander and I are going to run away together. When? Helena asked. Tonight, Hermia told her. I'm meeting him at midnight in the wood outside the city walls. We plan to travel through the night, and in the morning we'll find a little temple where we can be married. Hello! Welcome! Oh, Helena, it will be so romantic. Please say that you're happy for me. Of course I am, said Helena. I'm overjoyed. And she was overjoyed for herself. At last, this was my chance, she thought. If I visit Demetrius tonight and tell him that Hermia and Lysander have gone off together, he'll forget about his pride. And then, when I tell him how I feel about him, he'll be so flattered he'll fall in love with me. Love always finds a way, which is true, but love doesn't always find the way that people expect, as Helena was about to find out. For it was not only in the human world that love was causing unhappiness, although Helena and Hermia did not know it. Two different worlds would meet in the woods outside Athens that night, and the result would be chaos. Oberon, king of the fairies, was a creature of darkness and shadows, while his wife, Queen Titania, was moonlight and silver. The two loved each other dearly, but they had quarrelled bitterly. Titania had taken a little orphan boy as a page and made such a fuss of the lad that Oberon had become very jealous. He wanted the page for himself. That midsummer's night, in a clearing in the woods, Titania was singing to her page, while fairy servants fluttered around like glittering moths. When Oberon appeared, Titania's silvery eyes darkened. Fairies, let us leave this place at once, she said hauntedly. Wait, Titania, snapped Oberon. This quarrel of ours has gone on long enough. You say I've no reason to be jealous of the boy. Very well, prove it. Give him to me. Not for all your fairy kingdom, hissed Titania. She raised her left hand and sent a ball of blue fire roaring across the glade, straight at Oberon's head. Oberon spoke a word of magic, and the fire turned into water that burst over him, drenching his clothes. By the time he had rubbed the water from his eyes, the glade was empty and Oberon was alone. I'll make you sorry for this, Titania, he vowed. Then lifting his dripping head, he called out, Puck, come to me, now! A breeze sighed in the branches, and as an elf dropped out of the air and landed at Oberon's feet. The elf was dressed in leaves, that he had sewn together. His hair was tangled, his skin as brown as chestnuts, and when he smiled, his white teeth flashed mischievously. "Command me, master," Puck said. "I mean to teach the Queen a lesson," said Oberon. "Go search the earth and fetch me the flower called love in idleness." "I will fly faster than a falling star," said Puck, and with that he vanished. A cruel smile played on Oberon's lips. "When Titania is asleep, I will drop the juice of the flower in her eyes," he said to himself. "Its magic will make her fall in love with the first living thing she sees when she wakes, perhaps a toad or even a spider. She will make herself seem so ridiculous that she will beg me to break the spell, and I will, after she's given me the page." This plan pleased Oberon so much that he began to laugh, but his laugh was cut short when he heard human voices approaching. With a wave of his finger, Oberon made himself vanish among the shadows. Demetrius, out searching for Hermia, halted in the middle of the glade while he considered which path to take. This gave Helena a chance to catch up with him. "Wait for me, Demetrius," she pleaded. Demetrius scowled at her. "For the last time, Helena, go home," he shouted angrily. "I can find Lysander and Hermia without your help." "But you don't understand," Helena exclaimed. "I love you. I've always loved you." She tried to put her arms around Demetrius, but he ducked away. "Well, I don't love you," he said roughly, "so go away and leave me alone." And he ran off through the moonlight. "Oh, Demetrius," sobbed Helena, running after him. "I would follow you through fire just to be near you." Oh, bless her. When the glade was once more still and silent, Oberon came out of the darkness. His face was thoughtful. "I must help that lovely maiden," he whispered. "I know how cruel it is to love someone whose heart is so cold." A wind brushed the fairy king's cheek, and there stood Puck, holding a sprig of glimmering white flowers. "Take 2 blossoms and search the wood for a young human couple," Oberon said to him. "Squeeze the juice of the petals into the young man's eyes, but do it when you are sure that the maiden will be the first thing he sees." "At once, master," Puck said with a bow, and then he was gone. Then Oberon went to find Titania. He found her sleeping alone on a bank of violets, and the air was heavy with their sweet perfume. As he dropped juice from the magic flower onto Titania's eyelids, Oberon murmured, "What you see when you awake, do it for your true love. Do it for your true love take." At that very moment, in another part of the wood, Puck was putting magic juice into the eyes of a young man he had found sleeping next to a young woman at the foot of a pine tree. When he wakes and sees her, his love for her will drive him mad. Puck giggled, and he leapt into the air like a grasshopper in a summer meadow. But as bad luck would have it, Puck had found the wrong couple. Those sleeping under the tree were Lysander and Hermia, who had got lost in the woods and exhausted themselves trying to find their way out. And as bad luck also had it, a few seconds after Puck had left them, Helena wandered by, searching for Demetrius. Blinded by tears, Helena did not notice Lysander and Hermia until she stumbled over Lysander's legs. Ooh, it's getting complicated, boys and girls, isn't it? He woke, saw her, and his eyes bulged like a frog as the magic went to work. "Lysander," gasped Helena, "what are you doing here? I mean, you mustn't be here. Get away quickly. Demetrius is looking for you, and if he finds you..." Her voice trailed off. There was a strange look about Lysander, and it made her feel very uncomfortable. "Why are you staring at me like that?" she asked. "Because at last I have found my own true love," said Lysander. "Helena, can't you see how much I love you?" Helena stepped back, laughing nervously. "Don't be silly, Lysander," she said. "You love Hermia, don't you?" "Hermia? Who is she?" scoffed Lysander, scrambling to his feet. "How could I love anyone but you? With your eyes like stars, your hair as black as ravens' wings, and your skin as soft as—" "That's quite enough of that," said Helena. "This is some sort of midsummer madness." "Madness? Yes, I'm mad," said Lysander. "Mad with love for you. Come to my arms and cool the fires of my passion with your kisses." He moved towards Helena, but she turned and fled. Lysander followed her, shouting, "There's no escape from love, Helena. This was meant to be." Their loud voices and pounding footsteps woke Hermia. "Lysander, where are you?" she muttered sleepily. "Don't wander off on your own, my love. You might be eaten by a lion or a bear." The very thought made her wide awake, and she sat up. "Or I might be eaten, come to that," she said with a shudder. "I'm coming to find you, Lysander, so we can be eaten together." Not 5 paces from the bank of violets where Titania lay asleep, a group of Athenians had gathered in secret to rehearse a play that they meant to perform for Duke Theseus after his wedding. One of the actors, a weaver called Bottom, was behind a tree, waiting to appear when he heard his cue. "I'll show them how it's done," Bottom said to himself. "When the Duke sees what a fine actor I am, he'll give me a purse of gold, or my name's not Nick Bottom." He glanced up and saw a strange orange light circling the tree. "Now what's that, I wonder?" he muttered. "A firefly, perhaps." It was Puck. He had noticed the actor as he flew by on his way back to Oberon, and had seen a chance to make mischief. "Behold, the Queen's new love," he said. Magic sparks showered down from his fingertips onto the weaver. Immediately, Bottom's face began to sprout hair, and his nose and ears grew longer and longer. His body was unchanged, so Bottom had no idea that anything was wrong until he heard his cue and stepped out from behind a tree. Bottom had meant his entrance to be dramatic, and it certainly was. The other actors took one look at the donkey-headed monster coming towards them and raced away screaming and shouting. "What's the matter with them?" said Bottom, scratching his chin. "My word, my beard has grown quickly today. I'll need a good shave before the performance tomorrow." He paced this way and that, puzzling out why his friends had left in such a hurry. "Oh, I see, he said at last. "They're trying to frighten me by leaving me alone in the woods in the dark. Well, it won't work. It takes more than that to frighten a man like me. And to prove how brave he was, Bottom began to sing. His voice was part human, part donkey, and it sounded like the squealing of rusty hinges. It woke Queen Titania from her sleep on the bank of violets. "Do you hear an angel singing?" she said, and raised herself on one elbow and gazed at Bottom. "Adorable human, I have fallen wildly in love with you," she told him. "Really?" said Bottom, not the least alarmed by the sudden appearance of the Fairy Queen. He was sure it was all part of the tricks his friends were playing. "Sit beside me, so I can stroke your long, silky ears," Titania purred. "My servants will bring you anything you desire." "I wouldn't say no to some supper," said Bottom. "Nothing fancy. A bale of hay or a bag of oats would suit me fine." From up above came the sound of Puck's laughter, like the pealing of tiny bells. Oberon's laughter set every owl in the wood hooting. "My proud queen, in love with the donkey," he cried. "Well done, Puck. Titania will think twice before she defies me again. But what of the humans?" "I did as you commanded, master," said Puck. "I found them." A voice made him turn his head, and he saw Demetrius stamping along the path, dragging Hermia by the arm. "That is the fellow," said Oberon. "But who is that with him?" "He is not the one I cast the spell on," Puck yelled. "Quickly," said Oberon. Make yourself invisible before they see us." Hermia was thoroughly miserable. Everything had gone wrong. She had found Demetrius instead of Lysander, and Demetrius was in such a foul temper that she feared the worst. "Oh, where is Lysander?" she wailed. "You've killed him, haven't you, you brute?" With a weary groan, Demetrius let Hermia go and slump to the ground. I haven't touched your precious Lysander," he yawned. "Now stop whining and get some sleep. When it's light, we'll find our way out of this wood." "I won't rest until I find Lysander," Hermia said defiantly. "Just as you wish," said Demetrius. "I'm too tired to argue any more." He lay back among the ferns and closed his eyes. He heard Hermia walking away, and then he fell into a deep sleep. Moonlight shifted and shivered as Oberon and Puck reappeared. "This is the man," said Oberon, peering down at Demetrius. "Search the wood for a black-haired maiden and bring her here. When she is close by, I will put magic juice in his eyes and wake him." "Yes, master. But tell me, is human love always so complicated?" Puck asked curiously. "Just do as I have commanded," snapped Oberon. Helena was still running, with Lysander just a few steps behind her. So many bewildering things had happened to her that when an orange light appeared above the path in front of her, she was not surprised. In fact, a curious idea suddenly popped into her mind. Puck's magic had put it there. Helena became convinced that if she followed the light, it would lead her back to Athens and sanity. Over streams and through clearings, the light led her until at last she came to a deep thicket of ferns where she paused for breath. "Helena, marry me!" she heard Lysander shout. "I don't want you," she shouted back. "I want Demetrius." "And here I am, my love," said Demetrius, springing up out of the ferns nearby, his eyes glowing with magic. "Hold me. Let me melt into your sweetness." Helena did not bother to wonder why Demetrius had changed his mind. Her dreams had come true, and she was about to rush into his arms when Lysander ran between them. "Keep away from her, Demetrius," Lysander said hotly. "Helena is mine." "Lysander, is that you?" called a voice, and Hermia came scrambling out of the bushes. Brambles had torn the hem of her dress, and there were leaves and twigs stuck in her hair. "Thank the gods you're safe," she said, weeping for joy. "Why did you leave me, my only love?" "Because I can't bear the sight of you," said Lysander. "I want to marry Helena." "So do I," Demetrius explained. "And since she can't marry both of us, we'll have to settle the matter man to man." He pushed Lysander's chest, knocking him backwards. Then Lysander pushed Demetrius. Hermia stared at Helena, her eyes blazing. "You witch! You've stolen my Lysander," she screeched. "I haven't stolen anybody," Helena replied angrily. "This is all some cruel trick, isn't it? The three of you plotted together to make a fool of me, and I thought you were my friends." "Our friendship ended when you took Lysander away from me," snarled Hermia. And there might have been a serious fight if Oberon had not cast a sleeping spell on all four of them. They dropped to the ground like ripe apples, Hermia falling close to Lysander and Helena collapsing at Demetrius's side. Oberon and Puck appeared magically beside them. "Smear their eyes with fairy juice," said Oberon. "This knot of lovers will unravel when they wake." As Puck hurried about his task, the air was filled with the singing of fairy voices. "The Queen!" Puck muttered in alarm. "The Queen is coming!" Titania did not notice Puck and Oberon or the sleeping lovers. She could see nothing but Bottom, whose jaws were stretched open in a wide yawn. "Are you weary, dearest one?" she asked him tenderly. "Rest with me on these soft ferns." "I feel a powerful sleep coming over me," said Bottom. "Fairies, leave us," ordered Titania. The fairies flew away, leaving bright trails in the air. Titania cradled Bottom's head in her lap, and they both dozed. Oberon and Puck crept close. Puck began to grin, but he stopped when he saw the sorrow in his master's eyes. "There is no laughter in this," Oberon sighed. "How I long for Titania to smile at me as she smiled at this creature, and to feel her soft arms around me as I sleep. Break the spell on the humans, Puck, while I deal with the Queen." Oberon moved his hands, weaving shadows into magic as he chanted, "By the way you used to be, see the way you used to see. Wake, my Queen, and come to me." Titania opened her eyes, and when she saw Oberon, she flew into his arms. "I'm so glad that you are here, my love," she said. "I had the strangest dream. I dreamt that I'd fallen in love with a—" "We will never quarrel again," Oberon promised. "Keep your page. Have 50 pages if you wish. What does it matter, as long as we are together?" Puck saw that the sky was getting lighter. "It's almost dawn, Master," he warned. "Then we must leave," said Oberon, and he, Titania, and Puck faded into the pale morning light. When the sun rose, its light woke Demetrius and Helena, who fell in love at first sight, then Lysander and Hermia, who fell in love all over again. There was much smiling, sighing and kissing, and soon Demetrius said, "Today is Duke Theseus' wedding day, as well as mine and Helena's. Come, my friends, the priest can marry us all at the same ceremony." And the lovers hurried off towards Athens, laughing every step of the way, the paths of their true love running smoothly at last. And as for Bottom, he woke some time later and clambered stiffly to his feet. He mumbled. "I thought I had—" Anxiously he felt his fears and ears, and then sighed with relief. "What a Midsummer Night's Dream!" he exclaimed. "I'll write a poem about it and read it to Duke Theseus and his bride, and the Duke will say, 'Well done, noble Bottom, here's some gold for you.'" And he stumbled away through the ferns, making up lines of poetry and reciting them out loud as he went. There we are, kids. That was A Midsummer Night's Dream for you. If any of you want to draw a lovely picture of our Shakespeare, this is the man who wrote all these wonderful stories. Or if you want to perform a little bit of that story, please feel free to put some videos up on the Cherry Blossom Arts page. But for now, I'm going to leave you. Have a lovely evening. Please share the video with your friends. And if any of you want to join in any of the other Cherry Blossom Arts videos or classes, please send me a message. Have a lovely evening.